if you think that you are healthy right now. Okay, a lot of hands. So these are some of the common symptoms that the healthy people say that they always have. So they feel always tired in the afternoon, they have cold hands and feet, they need more than one alarm to wake up. They can't fall asleep because they start overthinking. They sleep enough, but they still feel tired. They are bloated after meals. So if you have any of these symptoms, you're probably not as healthy as you thought. So now raise your hand again. Who thinks that they are healthy after seeing that? The thing is that we have been taught that it's just black or white. You're either sick or you're healthy. And there are so many grays in between. And it's important to know this doesn't mean that if you're not healthy, you're going to be sick, but it means that there is always one step ahead. And that even if you're feeling great right now, you can even improve it. So you see that we go from chronic, that it's people that have symptoms all the time that have been diagnosed, to superhuman. And normal is just there. So I know that here, like we're nomads, I don't think that anyone here is normal. So I think right here, everyone wants to go to the superhuman level. And that's exactly what I want to show you how to do today. One important thing to understand is that the fact that something is common does not mean necessarily that it's normal, and that doesn't mean that it's healthy. And we see that a lot in the Western world, that because everyone's tired, just because everyone has that same problem, we start normalizing dysfunction. Let me tell you a little bit about my story and why I do what I do and why I love it so much. It all started with this little girl right here. When I was little, I was multiple times hospitalized. I had so many different diagnoses and they couldn't find specifically what I had. So I decided to become a doctor. And while I was in med school, I started having even more symptoms than before. And these were some of the phrases that I would hear all the time from doctors, colleagues that were telling me your labs are normal, probably it's just stress, you're too young to be sick, it's all normal. So I believed that, and I started taking several pills. I was hospitalized multiple times when I was a doctor as well. And I was getting more and more medication to the point that I got 10 to 15 pills a day. Uh, I had a very tricky relationship with myself at that time, with food, with alcohol. I was studying hard, partying hard. So, and no one introduced me to what being healthy really was. And I was surrounded by doctors, so you would think that they would know what they were doing. Then COVID started, and I was working in the ER. I started working as a COVID-19 first responder. My hospital turned into a COVID hospital at that time, and that's when I started noticing that we were not necessarily giving people solutions, but we were mostly prescribing them. We were just giving them medication, but people would leave the hospital and they would not have a good quality of life. And that's when my health hit rock bottom. So I had 2 strokes and I couldn't see with my left eye. I lost my strength in my left side as well. And that's when I decided to quit my job as a doctor. I said, I'm never coming back to being a doctor again. I'm never coming back to a hospital. And I didn't know exactly what I was going to do next, but I just wanted to find a way to heal, and I didn't want to go to the normal doctors anymore. So that's when, after some search, I went from witches to biomagnetism, everything that you can think. I got scammed in the way. And I can say that, like, I was smart enough. I have studied for a while, but I was desperate. So I was looking for everything. And that's when I found integrative medicine. Integrative medicine is basically the blend between Western medicine, ancestral practices, and lifestyle medicine. And that is what I do right now. So after experiencing it as a patient, it fully changed my life. I got my sight back, I got my strength back, and It's crazy because once some part of the brain dies, it cannot get back to normal. So I literally started seeing life differently because I was seeing life with a different part of my brain. Um, I started traveling around the world. I went to live with shamans for a while to learn about plant medicine and psychedelics. I started learning nutrition, Chinese medicine, and then uh, right now I do a blend of all of them. So I treat people, the in-betweeners, those that are in all those gray areas that I show you that are not necessarily sick enough to have a diagnosis, but it's people that still have symptoms and that usually doctors dismiss. So, how do you actually stay healthy while you travel? You probably have heard so many times that eating healthy and going to the gym or exercising is what you need to do, and that those are the foundations of health because that's what we have been taught. Uh, Probably you've heard a lot of food and a lot about movement, but you haven't heard about these other things that as a nomad you can do and can change your health without even having to worry about what you're eating and if you're going to the gym or if you're exercising. So this is this two right here is what I call like the superhuman pyramids, because this is not only going to get you healthy, but this is going to get you to the superhuman level. And if you see right here, actually nutrition and movement are on the top, and the foundations are light and dark, water and magnetism, and are some things that are not even prescribed by doctors, and I haven't heard people talking a lot about those. In the other one, you also have some things as detoxing, working with your immunity, working with inflammation, and one that's really important, working with stress. So it's very important to understand, first of all, what are your health goals? And if your only health goal is to look like this, then I am not the right doctor for you. But if your health goals, more than that, go to being superhuman, to be able to resist the stress, because it's impossible to not have stress in our lives. We're traveling mostly full time, so we have to deal with that. And the important thing in our body is that we have the resilience to adapt to it. That you have an efficient digestion, that means that your body is able to absorb all the nutrients from the food that you eat, that your hormones are in harmony, that your body is able to detox itself, that your immunity is working the right way so you can deal with different temperatures, with different viruses, with different bacteria, that you have energy, like steady energy through the day without needing 3 coffees, and that you have a sense of purpose as well. So, how do we do that? The most important thing is to understand that our body goes from the head to the toe and that everything in our body is connected. One problem that I see in Western medicine is that they started putting compartments in the body. So if you feel bad and you have a headache, then you have to see the neurologist. If your stomach is not working in the right way, then you have to see someone from digestive care, and they give you like different treatments for each one of those when everything probably in your body is connected. And the second thing is that it has to follow an order. So when I say head to toe, it basically means that we start in our head. And by starting in our head, I mean that everything starts in the brain and in the nervous system. Our brain is basically the computer that's going to send signals to the rest of our body of what it has to do. So it's going to send signals for our sleep, for our digestion, for everything that we talked before. And some three main things that we have to be aware when we are working with the brain and the nervous system is light control, breathing, and posture. I talked a little bit of this yesterday with the people that were in the talk in the tent, but I'm going to go a little bit deeper. So with light, light is the one that controls our circadian rhythm, which is our internal clock. And it's also going to control our hormones. And I know that a hormone that we hear a lot right now is cortisol, because it has been given the name of the stress hormone. So usually gets a bad reputation, but cortisol is actually the hormone that we need to wake up every day. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to get out of bed. The important thing is that that cortisol is in the right timing. So the other thing that light controls is our hormones, and basically our hormones are in charge of all of this that you see right here, of your hunger, of your mood, of your digestion, of your sleep quality. So basically, if we are controlling the light, we are also able to control all of these things in our body. As I told you, like the cortisol has to be like in our body. And the important thing is like the schedule that we have it. So as you see, like at 6 p.m. when we have sunset, it makes a huge depth that actually sends it signals to our body that we have to sleep. And after 6 a.m., when we see light from the outside, it also makes a peak so we can wake up and get out of bed. So how do we use this to our advantage? First thing is get sunlight the first thing in the morning. So as soon as you wake up, the first thing that you should see is like sunlight, and it should be before 10 a.m. The reason is that that's exactly when we have the right wavelengths of UVB, UVA, and you should do it at least for 10 minutes. If you are having jet lag or having problems sleeping, it's better if you do it until 1 hour. And it has to be with no sunglasses. The most amount of skin has to be exposed, not a window there. And it even works if you're in a cloudy day. The second thing is be outside as much as you can, because that's also going to show our body like in what time of the day we are. Watching sunsets, because that actually, if you see that red light outside, it's going to help us as well create that depth and be able to sleep deeply and profoundly. And then do a digital sunset, because right now we're exposed so much to artificial lights all the time that our body's not even aware of when it's the day, when it's the night. So I'm going to show you how to do that, but it's really important to not only take into account like what's happening outside, but also like all of surroundings. And get full darkness at night. I know that this is difficult as a digital nomad because we're going to like different places all the time, but I'm going to show you some gadgets that you can use on the way. So this is the basic traveler's pack that you should have. And I know that probably some of you have seen me around with my cool blue light blocking glasses. Um, those are actually meant to simulate sunset, and even like you start seeing colors a little bit like a sunset, like more orange, more red. The other thing is to have an eye mask. A thing with the eye mask is that it has to be a cup eye mask. The reason is that our eyes need to move at night. It's called rapid eye movement, and that's the moment where we learn. So when we learn and we retain information. So if you are using an eye mask, but you're using one of those eye masks that like don't let your eyes move, then you're probably not having problems with memory or something like that. So that will be a good change. And then the other one are those stickers that as a nomad are great, because when we are exposed to light, it's not only our eyes the one that change the circadian rhythm, but even if your feet are getting some light or the rest of your skin are getting some light, your circadian rhythm is also going to be altered. So those you can put like in tiny things as like lights that you have around the bedroom in like hotels or in co-livings, and on your computer, in your phone, and those like are a great help. If you want to be like a little bit more crazy, um, you can also do all these other things. So one of the ones that I like is this light changing bulb, because you can use it in any lamp that you have around you, and you can set it into the red light. That's also going to help you so you don't have to turn on the lights there. Um, those right there are some portable blinds, and those actually you can cut the shape that you want to any window, and you can, those have some velcros that you can just glue them, and at the end you can remove them, so that gives you full darkness even if you don't have like the right blinds in the place where you're staying. Then like changing your phone and your laptop to the red mode when it gets later through the day. And then these other glasses that are yellow are usually for working during the day. So they don't block the blue light completely, as these other ones that block 99%. Those block from 30 to 50%. And they just help us because actually in the outside, we don't have as much as blue light in the sun, doesn't give us that amount. And it's something that happens with artificial lights, especially with white lights. The other really important thing is breathing. And because breathing is basically the only thing that we can control, but also that we're not necessarily controlling all the time. So all of you right now, you're breathing, but you're not necessarily thinking about it. But if I tell you to breathe in a certain way, you can actually control it. So it's basically this bridge between the fight or flight mode, the sympathetic mode, the one of like run, and the other one that's the parasympathetic mode, that is the one of like rest and digest. And it's called rest and digest because that's when the digestion happens. So that's the only moment when we actually absorb nutrients. So let's understand how to breathe. And it's really important. I think that probably you've heard like do some belly breaths. And there's a very different thing of a belly pump than a belly breath. So if you put your hands in your belly, probably and take a deep breath, and try to push it with your belly, that probably is not going to be as an effective breath as if we do it as I'm going to show you. So put your hands next to your rib cage, both of your hands, I can just do one, and try to think of pushing your hand with your ribs. You'll see that naturally your belly will go out, but also you'll feel like how you have so much space right here. That is actually an efficient belly breath. And that is how your body also sends like safety. I can breathe, I have enough oxygen, I can think. And so our parasympathetic, the rest and digest mode, gets triggered in that moment. How do we use breath in order like for different things? So if you are looking to relax, so more to like wind down, it's important that you do those diaphragmatic breaths that you learned right now, that you breathe only through your mouth, through your nose, sorry, and that you do long exhalations. So inhale should be half of the time or less, and exhales should be longer because that's also going to stimulate our parasympathetic or rest and digest mode. So one that I really like is the 3-7-8 breath. It's basically inhale for 3 seconds, hold for 7, and exhale for 8 seconds. If you are looking, on the other hand, to activate your body to focus because you need to work or before a workout, it's actually even better to do short, strong, and rapid breathing. So it'd be something like literally forcing, and I'm going to use my muscles to force my breath. And another one that helps us, especially when we feel that we are a bit overwhelmed or overthinking, is to use one nostril at a time, because that's basically going to balance both of our brain hemispheres. The other thing is posture. And I know the first thing that we do when we are scared or when we are anxious is to do this, because it's a survival mechanism. I'm trying to protect all the organs that I have right here so that they are not harmed. So when I'm working like this with my closed position, my arms crossed, or I'm slouching, I'm actually sending my body the position of danger. My brain says like, okay, if we're protecting this, then probably we're in danger. And the other safe position is to be spread out, arms open, shoulders really far from our ears, and the feet on the floor, because that means that we're not running. And actually, I got called out yesterday because they saw me working and I was working in the danger position. So one important thing to know is that as nomads, it's really difficult to find places that are ideal and comfortable to work in this safe position. So one thing that we can do is take active pauses. So every 10, every 15 minutes, like Do the safe pause, be aware, like your shoulders far from your ears, spread out, take a deep breath, and then get back to work. So it's more about like that repetition and that awareness than like to having the same position all the time, because I know that as nomads, it's really difficult to do that. The next thing is the digestive system, and here we went through our head, like the digestion starts in the head first, and then we go with all of this. And digestion is so important because it's basically how we get all the fuel in our body. So the first thing is activate it. So smell your food, touch your food, then chew your food. Then the stomach is the one that's able to process, and then our gut. And sometimes it's more important how you eat your food than what you're eating. And that's why I'm not telling you right now what groups of food to eat or what amounts, but I'm going to teach you like how to eat. So even if you're eating chips somewhere, sometimes it's more important like how you're eating them. So this is what I usually give to my clients, and it's a smart eating checklist. And this is what you should do before eating. Check that your heart rate is less than 70. That shows that you're in a parasympathetic mode. Do a deep belly breath if you're not. Tell your body, I am ready to eat. And I know this sounds crazy, but right now everyone is in their computer working or like watching a movie or at their phones while they are eating. That's not effective at all. Then eat in some place that's dedicated to eat. So don't work in the same place that you eat. If you have just one table, like make one space for working and the other space for eating, because your brain actually picks that. Don't do any intense exercise, and check that the posture, as we say, like it's in the right way. So also we don't create pressure in that area. During eating, chew until it's like applesauce. Maintain that good posture. Engage your five senses. While you're eating, put your utensils down between bites so you don't eat really fast. Avoid any distractions and avoid water during meals, because water is actually going to dilute the acid that we have in our stomach. That's the one that helps us digest and fully experience like your flavors, the smells, and everything. And after eating, don't take water immediately. Try to wait at least 30 minutes. Walk for 5 to 10 minutes. That's going to help with our blood sugar. Avoid laying down. And if you feel that you're feeling bloated and you have ate too much, do some vagal stimulation. A really simple one is humming, singing, do a massage, and observe how your body is responding. So some superhuman travel hacks for nomads. One, I know that we're constantly dealing with jet lag. So for jet lag, use those blue light blocking glasses in the airport and in the plane. And I get a lot of conversations actually, because a lot of people start asking me like, why am I wearing this? I'm the only one wearing those in planes usually. Use your eye mask at night. Hack, if you can make it, fast while traveling. That will fully reset your system. And at least if you cannot fast, eat with the new schedule that you are adapting to. Hydrate yourself, maximize the amount of sunlight in the moment that you arrive to the place, and do some grounding, because actually like in the moment that you arrive to your place, take off your shoes, take off your socks, and stay in somewhere like that's nature, because that's going to help us regulate our electromagnetic field to the one that we are in right now. And another thing that I know that we deal a lot with probably is food poisoning when you're traveling. So apart from like eating in the right way, I have these 3 things that I always take with me, and it's the bitter drops. Those are great before any heavy meals or even after. Enzymes also help a lot when you're eating something that you're not used to, and have a good binder with you. Binders are basically if you feel that you have eaten something that it's not going to be good because it was not safe enough, then take the binder. The binder, what it's going to do is literally bind to the food, to the toxins. You're not going to be able to absorb it, so you're going to eliminate it, and you are going to avoid that food poisoning. And basically, like here, you have all, if you follow me on Instagram and send me a DM with the word kit, I will send you all of the gadgets that you saw today, including the binder, the glasses, and everything, so that you can travel better. Thank you.